I am Thor, son of Odin, and as long as there is life in my breast, I am running out of things to say.
Great, another broken white boy for us to fix.
That's my secret, Cat. I'm always angry.
You took everything from me.
I don't even know who you are. With great power comes great responsibility. I can do this all day.
Wakanda forever!
And welcome, Internets, to another episode of Views from the 616, the blackest MCU podcast in the multiverse, powered by For All Nerds, where we discuss everything in the MCU from the perspective of people of color. And it is one of your hosts, Tatiana King, aka the Book of Ashanti, aka the Wicked Witch of the West View, the coldest Winter Soldier ever, the Wrath of Khonshu. Nakia was right. We have Nakia was right. You also Nakia was right. We also have Little Vision Vert, Bafton Ameriba, and Doc Aki. And as always, I'm joined by my lovely co-host.
It's your boy, DJ Benhameen. Thank you very much. As always, I'm here in the spaceship, a.k.a. the Planetoid Paladin, Briss Blairmont, Professor DMX, Ghost Rush Rider, It's Dark Hold and Hell is Hot, Brother Voodoo Child, Benhameen DJ by night, Nega Bands will make you dance.
Bands will make us dance. Bands will make us dance.
Hey.
Nega bands, nega bands, nega bands, nega bands, nega bands. You gotta say that. Remember, you gotta say it 3 times fast, 5 times fast.
I can't do that, for reasons. But, you know, yeah. Nega Bands, nega. See, it don't even sound right. No.
Welcome, everyone, to Views from the 616, where we are talking all things Miss Marvel. We were able to get the first 2 episodes of this series early, and there are 6 episodes in the entirety of the series, so make sure you are following and subscribe to us to listen to our reviews and breakdowns of all of the incredible, good, amazing, what did that Gaga meme do? Incredible, outstanding, superb, stupendous. Like, she just names all the adjectives. That's how I feel about this series. Oh, this is so expertly done. Miss Marvel is the one. Miss Marvel is that girl. Miss Marvel is everything as a record label, as a motherfucking crew, that whole 9 yards. Benhameen, what did you just overall think of this second episode?
Loved it. Yeah, I fully agree. I'm at this point, I'm praying for the next 4 episodes because I need them to be of the quality of these first 2, because I've now watched both episodes about 3-4 times, I think. And I'm just like, God damn, y'all. Like,
yeah.
Y'all
they wrote this shit like they wrote this shit like they had something to prove.
They
and I was
really
like,
did.
Damn, like, I feel like they embarrassing writers out there that's just like, oh, you thought your pilot was solid? No.
I mean,
it's good.
It's good. It's really good. It's great. And it's like, it's more than just the writing. Everything about the show, the acting, the directing, production.
Yeah.
And like I said, both episodes have done it for me because I've watched them multiple times and I haven't got tired of seeing it. So let's go on into this.
All right, we are going into episode 2, and here's your basic plot. Kamala is living on a prayer as she tries to balance being a hero with being normal. As things start moving with the quickness, Kamran comes giving love a bad name, and family secrets start spilling out in the open, leaving Kamala wanted dead or alive on a second episode of Miss Marvel.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to the Prince of Jersey.
Yes.
The one
And
Bon Jovi.
hopefully by the end of this episode, I will be pronouncing her name properly.
I mean,
Thank
she tells
all
you how
for
to do
bearing
it.
with me. She does. And
I
that's
said
my point for
Kamala.
saying that.
That's how I've been going. Kamala.
Yeah, no. Kamala. Kamala. Say her
you
name
say
right.
tomato. I say tomato.
Say her name right, okay?
Kamala.
Kamala's Kamala Harris. That's our VP.
That's what I thought she said in this episode, but let's move on.
Kamala. So anyway, this episode is directed by Mira Menon. As we mentioned before, head writer Bisha K. Ali. We are working on getting Bisha on this show, y'all. We really hope we're able to talk to her about this because, again, just phenomenal job all the way around. And as we mentioned, this is heavily, heavily influenced in more ways than one from the Miss Marvel No Normal series co-created by G. Willow Wilson with artist Adrian Alfona.
No Normal is the name of the first trade. After that, it's just really just the Miss Marvel series. But yeah, it's classic. Go pick it up. Do it.
Yes. All right. So let's get into things, Benhameen.
Okay, it's time for the
Themes of the episode.
huzzah.
All right. So one of the major themes, and done also to some comedic effect, and also I was just shaking my head at Kamala like half the time.
Mm.
The idea of fitting in versus being yourself. Now, when we were first intro to Kamala, you and I talked about how she reminded us of us, right? Growing
Yes.
up, being the outcast or being the one that wasn't cool and all this stuff. And most times that's all you really want, right? You're not thinking about, oh, you're such a great person and you got this gift and that gift. You're like, I just want to fit in. Because half the time it's hard enough, like at least in our case, just being black and then liking all this stuff. And then it's just like, damn, when you add it all together on top of other hardships that you may be going through, social hardships, depending on where or when you grow up, it just makes it that much harder to fit in.
So real.
Yeah.
And then when you get that opportunity, it's like
Right.
you'll do anything to, jump on it. And
Yeah.
it leads to a lot of hijinks.
And let's be real, it feels good to fit in. It feels good, especially if you generally, and maybe not every single person, but for a large amount of people, when you finally get that opportunity to fit in or get that opportunity to be respected or accepted, then as you just said, you'll pretty much do anything to keep it, or you'll do anything to keep going down that path, most times to your detriment. But you don't really learn that until after the lesson is,
And then it's
come
also like the real lesson, and it's what Miss Marvel, Kamala, did I get it right that time?
Kamala.
What Kamala needs to learn is that it's not even about fitting in. It's better to be yourself and then have others fit in around you. You know what I mean? Like, you need to realize who you are and be a star in yourself and not worry about trying to please somebody else or live for somebody else, because she's trying to live for her family and she's trying to please not even her friends, just her associates at school, really, because she ain't
Right.
pleasing her friends at certain points.
Right. And that's going to be an underlying theme throughout this series. We're going to see how she grows up. Like, even though I don't know what time period this is going to cover. It might cover her whole junior year, just might cover a portion of it. But the point is, you're going to see a lot of growing up in a short period of time. And it's just funny that you say that, because she's doing the opposite right now, right? Like, she is finally feeling like she is the cool kid. She has this confidence. And one thing, like, I wanted to point out is, besides her fighting her powers, nothing else about her has changed. She still likes what she likes. She still looks the way she looks. She still acts the way she acts. Nothing has changed. The only thing has changed is her level of confidence.
Yep.
And it's funny how, and in this case, it's being personified in the form of powers, right? But confidence can come in the form of many different things for a lot of people, right? For some people, it's like, oh, somebody says you're pretty or you're handsome. Or for some people, they use their money as their form of confidence. Like, they could be corny ass people, but because they have a lot of money and can wear the latest designer stuff, they use that to boost themselves up and be the cool kid, quote unquote. In this case, she's using her newfound powers as, wow, I'm somebody now. Even though, as we all know, as Bruno knows, she's always been somebody.
Pretty much.
And she uses this newfound confidence to, get ahead of all her previous pitfalls in life. You see her in the opening, everything that's the complete opposite, complete 180 of what she was going through the first episode. She ain't getting hit with random dodgeballs and basketballs. She's making people respect her space. She's getting people to acknowledge her presence. Like, stuff like that you should just really be demanding of people, but it's hard, right? Especially when you don't have the confidence to speak up for yourself.
And especially
And use your
when
voice.
when you're the daughter of immigrants, and from a different culture than the mainstream culture, and have to represent that culture every day just because of the color of your skin.
Right. And we get a taste of that with Nakia, like, about how she has been growing up. But it seems like Nakia, she knows who she is more. She seems to have more confidence, because even though we didn't get to see a lot of every interaction of her and other people, it just seems like people respect her space and respect how she want to move in life. It feels like that anyway.
She demands it. Is what it really
demands it.
Yeah, she demands people's respect and for them to accept her space. So we see her wearing the hijab, not because she has to, but because she's like, no, I want people to understand this is me.
This is me.
I'm not running away from this. This is me. You're going to see this every day.
Didn't really feel like herself until she put it on. Until she, as you said, commanded that presence, commanded that respect from other people to respect her faith and respect her life.
No one cared who I was till I put on the mask.
How does Bane find his way into every conversation we have?
Because Bane is a prophet. That's why.
Yo.
The Book of Bane.
Yeah.
Real.
Yeah. Now, again, we're not saying it's easy every time, but honestly, it tends to come down to when you have confidence and exude yourself into the world with that demanding your place in this world. It does tend to shift how people react or even interact with you, and we see that happening in the opening. The problem is, and you put it really nicely here. She ignores what she is becoming in order to try to be the person she thinks she should be, who she thinks she should represent to the in crowd.
Yeah, no, she really does. And it's like, because she's already got, powers, superhero life ahead of her. And it's something she's always wanted too. And it's that classic hero's journey, right? She got what she wanted immediately, but then she's like, do I really want that? Or do I want this over here? Because this over here is what I've also really wanted. And having powers isn't getting me that.
Right. Do I want the responsibilities of being a hero like, Superman? Or do I just want the clout like the boys?
Yep. And that's what it is. See, she just wants the clout more because she sees Zoe getting the clout from her actions. So she's like, wait a minute. All I ever wanted was to be a hero. But in reality, all she ever wanted was clout. And so now she has to deal with that reality about herself and figure out, is that what I really want? Clout? Because she gets clout in this episode. And whomp, whomp, whomp.
Yeah, like Drake said, you got more followers than dollars. I don't know if I can mess with you, bro.
A bar.
Yeah. And part of being an in crowd meaning, popularity and being seen and being viewed as cool, which is why it drives, one of the reasons, there's another really big reason, but one of the reasons that drives Kamala to want to go to Zoe's party and be proud part of the crowd. And the other big reason is because of a little man or a little guy named Kamran. And we're going to talk about him a lot because he's a little suspicious about who he actually is. So, you mentioned about that power and fame that Zoe thinks she's getting, or that Zoe is getting.
Yeah, that Zoe is getting. Yep.
That Zoe is getting that, that Kamala, she would get herself naturally if she would just focus on herself. Do it, literally listen to what her mother said. Focus on yourself, believe in yourself, as Bruno tells her, and be truthful in your power of who you are. You're Kamala Khan, as he says. And it's just, I don't expect, she's 16. I don't expect her to get this right away.
No, and like I said, it's also that thing of she's been dreaming of being a hero her whole life. And then she gets it, and immediately it's not what she thinks it is. And so it's like, oh man, and we've all been there in life. I know it's like me, I always wanted to direct movies, and when I directed movies or short films or whatever, I was like, this is cool, but this is way different than what I thought it was. Maybe I could do other parts of the industry and direct when I want to, because I don't know about doing this every day,
Yeah. And the other downside of like when you start going on that path of like, oh, I want to be the cool kids and stuff, you start abandoning the people you came from the bottom with. And she's already with the quickness brushing Bruno to the left to hang out with Cameron.
I mean, she was brushing Bruno to the left even before she hung out with Cameron. That's the problem, like it was early. Bruno was getting pushed to the left when she dropped her
the gloves.
Yep, his gloves.
Yeah, you could say that. And
you can say it.
I mean, she's also kind of absent-minded at times. I mean, she should have more. I will say, I'm not trying to absolve her of everything. Yeah. She should have had more understanding that was important. But also, she was rushing, doing all this stuff, and she is absent-minded at times. And she seemed remorseful that she left it. She was like, "Oh, my fault, fam." So I don't know.
Yeah, but she's focused on herself. That's her problem. That's one of her problems. There's a lot of she wants the world to be about her. And that's
like Zoe.
That's pretty much everyone, though. Everyone wants to be the star of the show. Well, no, you're right.
No,
Bruno wants
not
to
true.
be a sidekick.
Right. Narcissist wants to be the stars of the show. And that is indicative of every day there is a star of Twitter, and you want to strive to never be the star of Twitter on a daily basis. That is not a good look for you. So Zoe will be one of those people. Right.
Zoe
she wouldn't
would
care
not
one
care.
way or another. She was like, followers.
Yeah.
Attention.
And then Zoe would get a job off of it. You know what I mean?
Well, see, that's called finesse, and that's called flipping shit to your favor. And not everyone has, and privilege, but not everyone, definitely privilege, because she would be that TikTok girl.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Who got over on the little black girl who did the dances. But point is, like, you know, I definitely don't believe that everyone wants that type of attention or that level of clout, right? Everyone don't want to be famous.
No. But right now, Kamala wants fame.
Now, is it the fame because of lack, not because she inherently, like, to me, Zoe is a narcissist, and she wants that fame because of how her worldview is centered around herself, whereas Kamala never had that, at least up until now, and now she's starting to get the fruits of that, and it tastes sweet to her, so she wants some more.
Yeah. I mean, that don't absolve her of it, you know, but yeah.
No, don't absolve her, but I don't think that's, like, inherent in her personhood, right?
No, like I say, it's the journey, you know, it's like, it's you're tempted by the dark side, you know, Luke Skywalker, you know, everybody got to be like, oh, but what about over there? You know, what is it like over there? You know?
What's that dark, shadowy place? The place you must never go, Simba. 2 days later, going over to the dark, shadowy place. Like, you dumbass. Like, are you serious?
2 days later. Like, I mean, it's fun force choking people, dog. Like,
force lightning.
Yeah, like, bro, like,
not gonna hold you. Them power, the dark side powers look legit as fuck.
Unlimited power.
I'm telling you, man, them red lightsabers go hard.
Right?
I'm with that. I'm with the shits. I don't know.
Man, you ain't even seen Obi-Wan yet, and Shorty with the spin.
Oh, I see.
They spinning. You know what I mean? Come on,
my God.
bro.
But we're doing the same thing Marvel is doing, which is talking about Disney, random Disney Star Wars stuff. But yeah, just to kind of close this out, just about that idea of wanting to fit in and doing things that are really outside of your character, Kamala. This same, like, her willingness to kind of push shit to the left, that's actually really important. And again, she's young, so it remains, it's going to happen. But the fact that it's happening, it leads to further consequences. As Benhameen rightfully pointed out, her trying to be cool and well-liked, it leads to her not training for her balance and concentration. You know, when Bruno says, hey, we really should train for this. And she's like, yeah, I'm going to go with Prince Ali over here. Like, that actually leads to some bad decision-making when she ends up having to do some heroism or some halfway heroism when she tries to save that boy. When she tries to save the fucking, is that Bran falling out the tower again? From Game of Thrones? I just thought about that. The boy fell out the damn tower like Bran.
Oh, we're going to have to put that up as a spoiler with no context.
Yeah. I just realized that. The only difference is he didn't, break his back or his legs. But goddamn.
I mean, the only difference is he wasn't pushed out by an incestuous couple. But,
that too.
Besides that,
But... I mean, what happened? Bran stole some information, and this boy stole some stuff. So I don't know. It's parallels there. I don't know. Yeah, but if she paid attention, like if she paid attention to what she was really supposed to be paying attention to, the stuff that really truly mattered, perhaps little boy's ankle wouldn't be fucked up now.
Yeah, but we'll get to that in a second too, because I think this second theme is, or not theme really, but really important. Yeah,
it's, as you point, it's more of a writing technique, and it's actually used very excellently, very thoroughly in this episode. The idea of foreshadowing or the technique and method of foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Bruno mentioning concentration. Concentration is key throughout all this episode, and Kamala is missing it. Missing it. And then when it does seem like she does randomly get a spark of concentration, it all falls to chaos. Literally falls to chaos.
Because she hadn't had enough concentration and enough balancing. So, and as you pointed out, she was too concentrated on being the hero and getting all the fame for it. Like, look at me up here with the boy. Oh no,
The boy.
I gotta talk about this little boy, man. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Go ahead.
All right, well, yeah, let's get right to it because this is another use of foreshadowing and very great because it wasn't done through dialogue or anything. It was just done visually, and it really killed me when I realized this on the second watch. The little boy who falls from the tower, Bran himself, Bran
Stark.
Bran Stark
the
part
second.
2. Yeah, the second. Falls from the tower and is rocking the shoes that he stole from Nakia earlier. We see Nakia put her very expensive over there, Versace joints up in the...
That's what she says, yeah.
Yeah, up in the... I mean, they were butters. Yeah, because that's the thing.
Those were fire sneakers.
As soon as they showed her shoes, I didn't know what they were, but I was like, oh, look at Nakia with some fire on.
You knew that she had money.
I knew they were money. And then when she was like, Versace, they put them on, they show them real quick, and then there's a shot of the shoe thief's feet as he's hanging on. And I'm like, yo, little man is rocking her joints.
No, I guess because she's a girl, she's probably wearing the kid
that
sizes.
Size is buttery for him.
She's wearing the kid sizes, like, kid size 7
like,
youth, and he's wearing that like it's nothing.
Like a boss, dog. That's how you do it.
What kid size 6 or boys or men 6.5?
Whatever you want
that's
to call
kid size.
My man is loving it.
Those are my sizes, by the way, in case anybody wants to gift me any Jordans. Just FYI.
All right, there you go. So yes, he's holding on for dear life, rocking the sneakers that he stole. So that's a bit of foreshadowing we see with him. And it will also lead, I really love that because while right now she's feeling all guilty about dropping this kid, everyone's got the whole scene on video. Nakia is standing right there. My man's like, oh, my ankle. She should be like, your ankle, dog. You got my fucking sneakers on. So I think how they're going to flip this, what would be interesting is if it turns into where the crowd then's like, oh, look at Captain or Miss Marvel stopping the shoe thief. And so now she becomes a local hero to the mob. But she still has the guilt on her
You would
shoulders.
do great PR for her, Benhameen.
Oh, yeah.
You would do great PR. That spin you just did, because that's a big time spin. That was mwah.
Fam, that's what I'm saying. I didn't drop them. You know what I mean? I was just, I was putting the shoe thief
I
where
ain't
he belonged.
But it looks like from the video I recorded, it looks like she dropped. Fam.
Yeah, that's what it looks like to you. You know what I mean? I was just putting the shoe thief where he belonged with the people.
The shoe thief isn't a 11-year-old boy.
It is what it is, fam. My man has rocked 22 pairs. My man is a serial shoe thief at this point, dog. 22 pairs? Like, fam.
22 pairs.
I got a lot of sneakers. I mean, I got more than 22, but it took me years. So I wasn't stealing them either. Come on, fam. No.
But Nakia, she also said that she told everybody, and they was like, all right, fam, you got more where that came from. Like, they didn't give a fuck. Like, she been told them.
They know she a baller. You know what I mean? But that still ain't, that don't absolve him. Some of them people ain't ballers. I'm sure if he got 22, dog, it ain't all Versace. You know what I mean? My man is just like, yo, I just love kicks, dog. And y'all just got my size.
He gonna be a reseller on StockX.
Yeah, one or the other.
Oh gosh. More foreshadowing. We have a pseudo dramatic funny moment where Kamala is training, and they're training on the rooftop of the Circle Q, which is that their corner store / house where Bruno lives. And she falls when she's doing the platforming, and Bruno, like, oh my God, he holds her like, I'm not gonna let you fall. She does her best. I didn't want to say Scar. Scar actually let him go, but she does his best impersonation of trying not to make her fall off the ledge. And she says to him wistfully, "You gotta let me go." And the way the camera angle is, you would think she's about to completely fall off the face of the building. It's just like a foot, a foot or two that she falls. A very short distance, but it's foreshadowing because this is also, we see it already happening. There may be a point where Bruno does have to let her go. Obviously let her go to find herself who she is, like literally let her be on her own and potentially separate like his long time. We don't know for sure, but their long time friendship might be changing dramatically in the next episode or two.
No, Bruno need to let her go because she passing him by. That's why he need to let her go.
That too, because we see that's holding him back.
Yes.
Right? We
Yeah.
find out, as I mentioned before, you see on his screen that he was interested in going to Caltech and that gifted program. We find out through Principal Cat Lover Gabe that Caltech wants Bruno to come through, all expense paid, all this. And Bruno is all, California is far away. My God, you knew California was far away when you was thinking about it and putting your application. Like, why are you all brand new now? It's because Kamala has powers now, and I have to be there for Kamala. And
No. Slow
this
down.
is going in his head.
It ain't because of the powers.
Let me
I mean,
go through what I was
it is the
saying.
power.
Let me go. Benhameen, don't be childish. It's because of this newfound situation with Kamala, where it's just like, I have to be there for her. She has these powers. She has this thing that she's learning. I'm her guy. He has given himself that role. Regardless of what Kamala feels, Bruno says, I'm the guy. I'm the one who's supposed to help her. I'm her bestie. I'm this, I'm that. And then not thinking like, yo, you really should be getting ready to let go, because you probably should be focusing on yourself going to school instead of, no, I got to stay here with her in Jersey City.
It's a lot of things to start with P besides powers that Bruno is focused on.
Sir, childish once again.
I'm just keeping it real. That the Bruno situation might have deepened because of her getting powers, but he was already in love with this woman.
Absolutely in love, yes.
Yeah, so he wouldn't have, like, that's why it was such a great cut once again without saying anything. He's like, why won't you leave? They cut to him and Kamala, or to Kamala, because that's why. Because she's here. That's
Because
why
of
I
her.
can't go. Yeah, but it don't have nothing to do with the powers.
Mhm.
I mean,
it's
like-
what I'm.
like I said.
My point is, Ben, it has the fact that that's something new. That it's just like, oh my God, I have to help her navigate this. He has his role in his head of who he is to her, and that newfound power is the catalyst for like, I definitely can't leave.
remember,
Definitely now. May have been thinking about it, but I definitely can't leave now.
remember what else was mentioned in this episode, and with this, and another metaphor that this whole series is for is them becoming women, them becoming grown people. Remember, Nakia talks about how her parents can't even look at her straight in this episode anymore because of the girly parts. Bruno can't look at her anymore straight because of the girly parts. And her getting powers is just like, it's a metaphor for puberty. We see in this episode, she gets the power on her nose like it's acne. You know, when she goes into the bathroom, Nakia offers her a tampon.
Mhm.
All references to
All
puberty and to growing
puberty,
up. And Bruno is growing up and realizing, I love this woman not as a friend, not as a family friend who I've always been,
Romantically.
but romantically. The powers are just, that's window dressing. And that's why great
Mhm.
storytelling is always, the powers are just window dressing to the story. The story is a love story between him and her, and he has to let her go. Because
Yeah.
she don't love him like that, fam.
And also in
It's not you.
foreshadowing,
Well, it is you.
we have this, what, again, just a suspicious familial situation potentially between Kamran and that whole conversation or the lie that Kamala came up with about to her brother Amir, that Kamran was one of their cousins. It could be true, right? Like, especially when you have big families, you have a million people.
It could be true.
No, I know in real life, but I mean, just
Yeah.
even as a cover up, right? That's a very believable cover up. Everyone has, at least people with bigger families like myself. Somebody in the street could probably be my cousin. I wouldn't know it. Fine, whatever.
Yeah.
And Amir, at least as far as we see, he eats that up. He's like, oh yeah, you so and so. At first, he didn't believe her, and then he was just like, okay, maybe he just wanted to just keep it pushing. Who knows?
Amir does not believe her. Amir's fiance damn
Oh,
sure
the
don't believe
fiance
her.
definitely knows, because she
And-
was looking at her like, girl,
Amir
I
don't
know that's
believe
your
her.
boy.
When he started coming with the haram, like, come on, man, that's just him, like,
Yeah.
whatever. Like, that's simple.
yeah.
He don't believe
Yeah,
her for a
yeah,
second.
yeah.
Amir's not an idiot.
But that level of familiarity or actual real life family ties, that's where the suspicious parts comes in, because especially how Kamran shows up, he's not showing up randomly. He was placed there. He was very much purposefully planted there by someone or by himself as part of a whole contingent. It's just too coincidental. It's too coincidental. It's too convenient.
I mean, let's talk about it. We've all seen the whole end of the episode. Cameron comes through because of who we think is Aisha. Aisha. Got to do the song. But Aisha is mentioned throughout this episode, and yet another bit of foreshadowing where every finger, every sign in the world is pointing to I'm gonna do it every time. Kamala, great grandmother, right? Every sign in the world pointing to this woman. End of the episode, Cam pulls up in the whip, sitting in the back seat of some woman who says, "I've been waiting to see you for a long time," knows her name. Cam turns to her and says, "That's what up? That's my mom." Gives her the look like, yeah, I know you was feeling me, but I'm your uncle.
No, that pissed me off. That's some Disney Star Wars shit once again.
Look,
like, oh, I'm actually your brother. I'm actually this. I'm actually that. Like,
Yep.
ugh. Like after you have the romantic feelings for this person.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks, but that's what seems to be implied in this scene right
What is
here.
with
You know,
the incesty stuff? Okay.
but it's not incesty. I mean, she was feeling him. It happens, like you said, big families. I know I've seen some cousins who I ain't know in person. I was like, damn, shorty fine. But
My
I know
is
it's my cousin.
There keeps being this pattern in Disney Star Wars / properties that I keep seeing keep happening. And I'm just like, can y'all come up with a different, a different way to do this? But hey,
no,
that's just me.
At least it ain't Game of Thrones.
Oh, facts.
Again,
big facts. And speaking of Aisha, she was the talk of the town. She's been a talk for a century at least or more. She's an anomaly. She is a folktale at this point because everybody got a story about Aisha, and I'm pretty sure nobody is right, except for obviously Ami, which is mom, Kamala's mom, but the truth of who Aisha is and what she really represents, like I think we're going to see more next episode, but I really hope that they give us a really complete picture of like and maybe even the contrast of what people saying versus what actually happened.
Well, one thing that we probably do know is true is that she followed a trail of stars to find her father during the partition, because the trail of stars seems to be the same power that Marvel is now manifesting. And we can probably assume that both her and Cam are some type of aliens, like we were talking about in the previous episode. In the comics, Miss Marvel gains her powers from having inhuman ancestry and being exposed to the Terrigen mist, which is the mist that gives Inhumans their powers. But in the TV show, because the Inhumans are a non-factor in the MCU at this point, sorry to anyone. Yeah, sorry to anyone.
Sorry to this man. Sorry to the Inhumans, but y'all not part of the picture.
Yeah, sorry to the Inhumans. Great AKA there. But
yep.
They're out of here pretty much. We're other than, Black Bolt getting crushed up in a Multiverse of Madness. That's about all we're gonna see of them for this point. So what it seems to be is that she's gaining her power from these bands, which, as we talked about in last week as well, the Nega bands are the source of power for a lot of different heroes in the Marvel Universe comics, such as Captain Marvel, the original Captain Marvel, who everyone knows who is from the Kree. A Kree are a race of aliens. They showed up in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They showed up in Captain Marvel. So we've seen the Kree before. So the Nega bands traditionally get passed down to different people. Various people have had them in the Marvel Universe. And so it seems that the bracelets that she had might represent the Nega bands, and we might be seeing the Kree again with Cam and Aisha.
Yeah.
Long story short,
I'm gonna go in that direction, and like I said, I don't know when Kamala first put on the bands and she flipped like to that plane or whatever that was. I just feel like perhaps that could have represented her ancestors and the Kree potentially, or some version of Inhumans that's not Inhuman. I don't know. That could also lead to that.
Oh, okay. I was trying to think about it for a second. Well, like people who've seen the Eternals know that the Eternals have this thing called the Unimind, where they all come together and form their mental powers together. Well, the Kree have this thing called the Supreme Intelligence, which is this big, giant, globulous head with dreads, actually. And it's basically the repository of all of the Kree from ever. Like all Kree, all knowledge, all information, and pretty much all souls. Like, they've all been uploaded into this computer, the Supreme Intelligence. So the Kree all existed here. So that might be a sign of her seeing that plane of where the Kree are. I'm not sure, but I'm still going with Kree and the Negabands, and that being
Mhm.
Miss Marvel's influence in this series.
All right.
Because it ties her into Captain Marvel so neatly with
Mm.
her being involved with the Kree and her powers coming from the Kree. And,
Very
she's going to
neatly.
be up in Miss Marvel. So, yep.
All right.
The Marvels, I mean.
And this is also part of foreshadowing, but leads into the next theme, which
Oh.
is some heavy, heavy stuff. All right. This is about the idea, the both literal and figurative, the partition and the discussing of the partition and different forms of what a partition is, what it means, things like that. Just a general dictionary definition of a partition is a thing that separates two parts. It creates a separation between something, puts one thing on one side, another thing on the other side. Like it just separates. That's the form and function of a partition, right? Beyonce partition, right? Drive and roll up the partition piece. So there's many different forms of it, but this one is much, much more serious.
Yes. Ooh. All right. Well, the first part of it is, like we said, we see the foreshadowing of it is that the young women, when they go, Kamala and Nakia, when they go to the mosque, we see how the women are set aside at the mosque, and there's a partition dividing them, and the women have to use the inferior facilities, such as the bathrooms, the area where they're at in the mosque, and all of this comes straight up. I mean, bar for bar, word for word, out of the first trade of Miss Marvel. So make sure y'all pick that up and support them. And even like the lines that the Iman gives when he says it's there to preserve our modesty and dignity. In the comic, Kamala asked a retort to him, and she's like, but you told us that in the time of the prophet, we all prayed together. And he's like, well, yeah, but that was a sacred time, and we were free from all the temptations of today and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. The typical things you hear when you question the leaders in faith, like they kind of throw it back. They spin the block on you, be like, well, it's a different time, different world, da da da. And then it tends to be very hypocritical. And, of course, when you're of the younger generation, you're going to ask these questions, and you're going to push back and be, a lot of times you're going to be accused of, being anti this and anti that, but Yeah. But as you said, and I know that's part of the culture, about the separate facilities for women and men and things like that. But the fact that it's separate and not equal, and the fact that it's not that people aren't mentioning it. At least people like Nakia, they're asking about it, like, can y'all fix this? Is it that? But it doesn't seem like anything gets done. And it's actually part of what, besides Kamala encouraging her, it's part of what makes her think, you know what, I should go run for the mosque board.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to come with its own set of challenges.
Yes, it
Big
is.
Time.
And I love that you had this note too about how it's really incredible that we see Muslims in prayer in a mosque.
In the masjid, yeah.
I was just loving that joint because just every little moment, because as people know, I've spent a lot of time in the Middle East where I was right up in this type of stuff. And so to see people washing their hands, feet, the mouth, everything, the hair,
ears,
all that is so beautiful to me because it's that culture, and once again, we talked about this in episode 1 and throughout the series, there's just so much culture being poured into your brain, and it's not done where it's like, look at this culture, or even like, let me stop and tell you a history lesson. It's just
it's
there.
Authentic. There, it's just there. It's how I live and breathe. I go to school, I go to the store, I go to the masjid, right? Like this is what I do. This is how I live my life, and it's important to the girls, right? I mean, we know it's important to Nakia. Unfortunately, according to the old woman that they run into, the elder they run into, they're like, it's always y'all two that's late.
Yep.
So she reads them real quick before they make it up there. But I just thought it was beautiful to see that. Like, I'm sure there are shows that have shown, and I don't watch every show clearly.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are shows over time that have shown prayers and the attendees in the masjid and all this other stuff. But like, lots of times I feel like it's either politicized or it's like the intro to something bad happening. Like, something negative happens. And I just feel like this was like a really beautiful moment to see this prayer and how the community came together.
I had to think about it for a second, but there's this great show. It's on Hulu called Rami. It's like a comedy drama about this Muslim
Mm-hmm.
kid going through his life, and it shows
It shows that?
everything. I mean, it shows everything. It goes into because
Good.
he's trying to find out about his spirituality as well, while going through the show. So it's all kind of different stuff. It's a
Yeah.
great show for that.
And I've always been looking for more positive representation of Muslim communities and of prayer and of faith. And I'm especially seeing this in a mainstream Marvel show
Mhm.
where you have so much ignorance in the mainstream. So I just thought it was really incredible to have that scene in here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Whew.
And also the interaction with Sheikh Abdullah, who is the imam leading the prayer. Like, just again, how you had, Kamala being kind of lightweight disrespectful, talking back and all this other stuff while he's in the middle of his speech, of his sermon. But like the fact that, he was like, well, I'm glad you got to say your piece, but not while I'm speaking. And, and then he just kind of just went back to business. And I was just like, that's, I've never been in the mosque. But I would just like, if that's just how the interactions go, then, again, that's just very familiar rather.
Yep.
Yeah. And then also, like in all places of worship, you have kids and teenagers not paying attention. You have those girls behind them that are doing the IG pics and stuff, talking about #Dean, which is way of life. And again, I just really like that they showed a lot of like in a very short time period too. This was within seconds that you got so much information about her background and how she is living.
Dean is more than a way of life. It's like the right way of life too, because it's like when you
Mhm.
stay on your Dean, as most rappers say, is when you're like on your job, when you're doing it right.
Mm.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. And then, like we said, that idea of partition, it has very deep, dark implications. Benhameen touched on it last episode, but do you want to
Yep.
talk some more about this?
Yeah, I definitely do, because I did a little bit of research into this, because as soon as they mentioned it, I was like, whoa, because like I say, I've spent a lot of time around people from India and people from Pakistan in close quarters with both of them at the same time. So I always wondered about it. And I was also over in Dubai, where when you're over, or even in Africa, when you're over there, the news is very different. And so you see more about the world on that side of the world. And it's a constant beef between India and Pakistan, where the rest of the world is super worried about them because they are both nuclear powered and have this beef. And this beef goes back to what is known as the Partition, which was in 1947, after hundreds of years of colonization, the British decided to up and bounce out of India. Now, at this time, there had been a lot of all right, well, the history of it is, first of all, is that there's a lot of Muslims and a lot of Hindus in India. And for thousands of years, they coexisted. There was like scholars who wrote about the similarities between them. Rulers would be like, yo, in my kingdom, Muslims and Hindu are good. Then the British came in. The British come in, colonize everything, and they start assigning people to different status and way of life, different things. Different rulers start coming up, who are Indian, who are born in India, but are raised outside of India, then come back and they start, they run for office, they gain power. And so when the British left, there were two rulers who both were like pushing for separation. They were like, no, Muslims need their own country and Hindus need their own country. And especially the guy who is pushing for Pakistan. And y'all, there's a lot of information on the internet about this, and I'm giving you the very short,
Abridged version.
abridged history lesson of all this. There's a great New Yorker article that we'll link to in the comments so you can read about it. But the British leave, and there's already all this pressure. There's a lot going on, and it immediately turns to horror. Like, reading about this was devastating for me. It was insane. Like, people who are on the ground in places like Calcutta and Punjab compared it to being at, and these are those people who had been at this, because remember, this is 1947, this is right after the end of World War II. So people compared it to being at the Nazi death camps. Like the amount of death. Like even in this series, we see someone talking about when they're trying to get
When the
away on the
family.
train, when they're
Yeah.
leaving on the train, right?
Mhm.
I read this article in the New Yorker where they talked about trains full of people would leave the station, and at their arrival, it'd be a car full of corpses, the whole train, because people would ambush them along the way. Because basically, what happened is everyone who was Muslim left India, and everyone who was Hindu left the area that was turning into Pakistan. And so these countries are separated. Pakistan becomes Muslim, India becomes Hindu, and to this day, and so these are families, these are friends. This is everything being separated over religion and over ideologies that these, the people in charge more so had. And now it's created this divide where a lot of, people from India don't F with the people from Pakistan. But like I said, at the same time, when I was in the close quarters with both of them, it just becomes, and people who I would say are, think about the situation, understand humanity, aren't about all that. But there's a lot of strife, a lot of beef between these communities when at one time there was none of that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it was just colonization once again showing its ugly head. And so I
Yeah.
loved how they mentioned it, but they don't really, harp on it too much because it is horrific.
It's horrific and it's very complicated, right? Like
Yes.
in some ways, some things this show is doing is trying to help push the healing part of it because, like, you have the conversation with mom and dad about their experiences in the partition, and then how Amir says, "Oh, every family here has a story. Every mom and dad, in the community, they have a story about the partition. Like it touched and continues to touch everybody, right?" And we see that to this day. We see this, as you said, in the ideology. We see that in the attitudes and and beliefs that are being held, and it,
I mean,
colonization.
like the wild part of it is this family wouldn't exist without partition because the mom's family didn't come to that area until the partition because they were living in the side of India where it was cool, and then it was like, no, you're Muslim, you got to go. So they had to go over to Pakistan, and that's when she met the dad.
Yeah, and I just find it interesting, like the prevailing languages that are spoken in the series are Urdu and Arabic. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And the fact that, like, I believe even with Kamala, like you see them interchanging between a
Yes.
lot.
And trust, they do that all day. When I was around these people, it's just a constant switch between all of these different languages. And like we were talking about last episode, a lot of it comes to even like Urdu has a lot of combinations of Arabic as well as like Asian languages and just everything because this area used to intermingle so well with everyone as most things did until the arrival of the Clampets.
The colonizers.
Yeah, that's like it's a worldwide thing, and it was so disturbing for me because like I've read a history of America and I just know how much damage people have done here, and I know about what they've done in Africa, and like it's the same type of thing that happened with Ethiopia, where Ethiopia and Eritrea are two separate nations now, and they had a civil war for 40, 50 years with all kind of damage done to both of them, but they were once one unified country, and so it's devastating and horrible, man.
Right. And
Ugh.
I am glad we're just talking about the history of it because, like you said, even though they touched upon it, I hope it sparks people to really learn more about it.
Yes.
And again, learn the figurative and literal connotations when they're talking about partition, and especially in this episode. More themes we have, just a couple more. The thought of an idea made reality. You see or you hear Kamala say that when she's harnessing her power, when she's showing Bruno her embiggen power, and you see the crystallized light around her fist that then becomes too big, so big that she can't even hold it up and it falls to the ground. She don't have enough. She don't have her arms like spaghetti. She ain't got the arm strength. But she uses that line to describe what her powers feel like, and it also relates to the many characters of the episode. It relates to how the episodes are structured, and for me too, because I mentioned how one of the reasons why I find this series to be so beautiful so far and work so well is because you see her ideas become reality in each scene. You see her animations in her head, the visuals in her head of Captain Marvel flying around as she's driving past the New York skyline in Jersey City. She's probably on Frank Sinatra Drive. That's the main road. That actually goes past Hoboken, but that's like one of the main roads you can see the city like that. And really just all in and around Jersey City. Like you see the animation comes alive. You see when we saw the text messages come to life, like those ideas made real and how they intermingle with real life. So you see that in the characters. You see that in the way characters communicate. You see that in the way thoughts are shown on screen.
Yeah, and once again, the text messages this episode, how they go from her bed cover up onto the wall, and then moving into her dream of her and Cam dancing in the stars.
Yeah, and then it ends up with doing
the
to her
drawing.
doodle.
Yeah, her
school.
doodle on school, and then her being woken up, and then like her dancing to I wanted to say Young Avengers, but it's To Be My Baby by the Ronettes, and her telling her mom, "Oh, it was magical," and then right back into the music. And first of all, when she came in dancing in that scene, I was like, okay, superstar. Like, she needs to lead the Avengers. I'm saying it now.
She has the chops. Like she has, and never mind her, the character, like the actress.
Yes.
She has the chops. Like she just has the it factor.
Everything.
The leader. Like you said, like she's like this generation Tony Stark just in terms of that leadership quality, right?
Yes.
Obviously not in the personhood because Tony Stark is a war criminal. But I'm just saying in that natural ability to bring people together and keep it going. Like I feel like she has that.
Pretty sure this guy's a war criminal now, but I'm gonna have to show you this video anyway.
Okay.
No, that's it. My man said about Captain America and Spider-Man. Pretty sure this guy's a war criminal now, but
yeah. An idea made reality. This is a great example. Nakia's like views of herself, her ideas of herself, and how she had made that into her reality.
Mhm.
When she fully actualized who she was as a person, as she said, the hijab that made her feel like herself. Despite how people have viewed her. Is she basically saying that she's a mixed ethnicities? Like, or is it because she presents as white because her skin is lighter?
Yeah, it's one or the other. It could be both, It could be either one.
She could be white and Middle Eastern or
she's
definitely
because she's related to Kamala. She's they're cousins.
Are they really cousins? Or they were just like play cousins? No, I'm
pretty sure because they both called him Uncle Rashid.
That's also, but that just could be familiarity in the community, like how you call everybody auntie and uncles. That's not necessarily your blood auntie or uncle.
But also the way she approached, I just keep effing her name up. Kamala's father, and said, "I'm like your other daughter." That's not just that could be friends, but I think
I took that as I'm just that familiar with your family. I've been around that I'm like your second daughter.
But that's like more like Bruno is their little. I think they're related, like by blood. Okay. I think they are cousins.
Until they say otherwise, I'm not going to say no to you. But I the way I took it was just because, like, this, with even the Black community, we call aunties. Mm-hmm. They're not related as by blood, but it's just like an honorific that you give. So
this is true.
And then idea of, like you said, being your second sister, second daughter, this and that. So yeah. So it could go either way.
And that goes into the last thing.
Yeah. The family history. The entire family from top to bottom is trying to hide what happened with Aisha. They make up stories. They allow the idea of ideas made reality. They allow all of these wayward thoughts that the community at large, all the Illuminatis. I love that moniker. Much stronger than Illuminati in Doctor Strange. But the Illuminatis, they have every which way thought about who Aisha is as a person and what she did and what she done. And the family's not correcting nobody. Like, mom's is right there listening to the riffraff, and she's just like, it is what it is. So I'm like, I really want to know what hurt mom so bad that she's just like, it is what it is. The outright lying that the family does, just how we talked about the idea of a figurative partition. They partition aspects of their life. Even the father at this point, he's hiding information that he knows that Nani, grandma, knows about the family. Like when Kamala's on the phone with grandma, he's listening in like, wait, what grandma's saying? Like what information he telling her? And then And he's just trying to get into check on Kamala, quote unquote. But I think like he's just also like, yo, you're saying too much right now.
Yeah,
like he
definitely.
knows there's stuff that his wife don't want said, and he's hearing this conversation like, fam, I gotta stop this before too much gets out.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then they generally talk up Aisha until she, as we say, we think that's her at the end of the episode, and that's foreshadowing yet again because they keep on mentioning her. Aisha, boy.
Aisha. Well, see, here's the thing. And this is the part that, like, and we're going to go to the characters in a moment to talk more about this, but Kamran says, this is my mom.
Yeah.
And if that's Aisha, not some new other person, and that's Kamran's mom,
yep.
Then who is Kamran? As we said, Kamran is potentially Kamala's uncle. Yep. And it's also just like, well, are you like, especially if you are potentially a human, a Kree, whatever you are you like 1,000 years old? And you just appear this way? Is that really your appearance? Is you like, I'm trying to understand.
I mean, we're going to have some questions and hopefully we'll get some answers, but I'm going with that's her grand uncle. And this man is quite old. I wouldn't say thousands. I think the Kree are like very long lived, but not like thousands of years. A couple hundred.
Okay.
I
should have been around the block.
Oh, Aisha been around the block. And that's the thing. We see that, remember, Aisha's the oldest in this family. And we've seen the grandmother, her daughter. And she's much older than Aisha appears.
Still older. Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why I'm just like, yo, what's going on? This is suspicious.
Alien. Let's get into these characters so we can talk about it.
Character first of Kamala Khan, played by Iman Vellani. I personally hated the portion of the episode where that clown ass kid tricked her into drinking the alcohol, where she was just like, is there any alcohol in there? And we know it's part of the faith. You don't drink alcohol. So that was a big issue for me. Like, and that happens, but it made me mad because I'm just like, how dare you?
Yeah, it happens. That's cool.
Yeah. Anything else that haven't already mentioned about Kamala that you want?
Other than she's the best ever? No, I mean,
she's so good. She's a good character.
Shout out to Iman Vellani, boy. God damn.
Yeah.
Put your foot in this shit.
Bruno, we don't talk about Bruno Corelli, played by Matt Litz. This is what we said was gonna happen. That we said it seemed like it was going down this path that he gonna be put to the left and he gonna feel a type of way. Big jealousy. Amongst other things. And I feel like this is the way it's going.
0 to 100. Real quick.
Now, you saw how he inserted himself into all these different situations. When Kamala was in the front seat with Kamran and he literally was sitting in the middle and inserted himself in between that partition like, hey, I'm here too. I'm important too. Let me break up this little lovebird situation. Oh, you're going to go hang out with Kamran? What about us practicing and training? Like, he was looking at her like, what the hell? I'm just trying to tone down the cussing. But he was just looking at her like, yo.
Nakia sitting in the back like, look at this square. Like, fam.
Look at this simp.
Playing yourself.
Simp. Look at Scott Summers. Because that's how this dude was acting.
Hey.
I
related to Scott Summers.
Yeah, well,
yeah. I related to Bruno too. What can I say?
He may also be potentially fostering some bad energy and regret considering how quickness, Kamala has dropped him. And we've already seen, but it's really solidified. He's pretty much an integrated member of the family. And that also could affect how Kamala sees him. She doesn't have romantic feelings for him. As far as we know, that could be basically her brother at this point, at least in her head. She fucks with him, but not really, not to that degree. He's so integrated, like he's been around, right, for years. He's at least halfway he speaks Urdu. He's invited, pretty much expected to celebrate Eid with the family. Ami calls him Beta, so it's just like.
What's fucked up though is like when this show drops, people are gonna be calling him like a beta male because they already called him beta. It's like
you're so corny, Ben.
Look, I'm just saying what the realities of the internet are going to do to this poor boy. Because Bruno, in the eyes of those who use those words, is definitely, a beta male. Like, I don't believe in those words at all, but, that's...
He's simping hard, and I feel bad. Like, I feel bad, but also, like, I don't want him... Also, he shouldn't... The only thing, I don't want him to feel like men do this thing where it's like, well, I've been around and I've been the guy and I should have you and you belong to me. Like, let's not go there. I really hope that's not where this is going. Like, I don't like.
Better hope harder.
Kamala owes nothing to him, right? Like,
Nothing.
yeah, they're friends, but she don't gas to like you like that, my guy.
No.
So.
But that's the thing, like you said earlier, these are kids and they're going to do very kid-like things. Like Bruno is probably headed down somewhat of that path. Just like Kamala is really headed down the path right now of, I want to be a superstar, like.
Yeah.
That's the thing. She's like, she wants that life that Zoe has.
Yeah.
Until she realizes it ain't.
And I put this later on in the notes, but just when we talked about like just kind of the expert way the storytelling is being done in this series, you see like early in the beginning when they're first walking through the school hallway and everyone's talking about Zoe, right? And Bruno and Kamala are talking amongst themselves. They literally go through this hallway where there's 2 doors and they each go through the doors separately. And to me, that signifies their first rift of what their friendship is and what their beliefs are. Like, they seem to be in lockstep until all of this stuff starts happening with the powers and this and that. Yeah. Kamran, everybody.
I love that Bruno asked her mom if his outfit is too bright. And she's like, I don't understand that question.
Right. That was funny as hell.
Because it just shows you culture.
It's so culturally.
Yeah, yes. It's like Caucasian culture for a lot of times uses a lot of whites and grays. And, it's I actually read this really ill article about racism and color and why that is the way, because most, like indigenous cultures are so bright and colorful. So, toxic whiteness has to like erase that. Which is why you see, like, when you see them home and garden shows, all the house is always white and shit, whenever like, oh, show off the house is white, and it's like, oh, paint this hoe, but I would, but that's what I mean. Like, when she's like, I don't understand that question, I was like, yes, mom, because I don't understand that question either.
Yeah, I was like, you seem like you fitting into me.
Like,
but then
is
of course,
too bright?
But then here comes Amir. Here comes Amir with the hater. We're talking about, yeah, man, it's too bright.
That's just Amir.
With that throwaway, he was just being rude, but
he just wants to make fun of Bruno,
Yeah, doing Big Brother stuff.
Yeah.
I did like, which was cool, how, and again, it just and more explanation of Kamala's powers. He explained to her that it's not the bracelet that gave her the powers, but rather the bracelet unlocked something already within her. He says the line, "The power comes from within you." More affirmations, Bruno. Keep going. He said the bangle unlocked the superhuman part of you. Maybe an Inhumans reference again? No. Kree reference?
Kree. Let the Inhumans go.
We're going with Kree? Okay.
It's done. Inhumans would take Terrigen Mist, and we haven't seen Terrigen Mist.
We haven't seen Terrigen Mist, and we won't see Terrigen Mist.
She already has powers. It ain't no Inhumans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I'm just like, well, how are they going to do Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur rather Terrigen Mist? But okay, there's other ways.
Moon Girl's exposed to Devil Dinosaur?
No. It's just that she has a big role in like things like tracking Terrigen Mist and things like that. But whatever.
Oh, well, forget it.
That's just one little story. She can do more.
Yeah.
All right. Then we have Nakia played by Yasmin Fletcher. She has a very poignant moment about race and being white passing. Again, I don't know if she's of mixed race or if it's just because she has lighter skin, so she looks and has more, I guess, European features, was why I thought she was mixed. But and that her, it was just like the way these characters are expressing the things that they're going through in their life, like, besides just being relatable, it's just so beautiful because they're just telling their truth. And the way that it's written is it's not like a PSA. It's not like I should be treated as a human, because it's like, no, I'm a person. This is what I've been going through. I'm a teenager. I'm a high school student. I'm Muslim American. I'm a Pakistani American that lives in Jersey City. You know what I'm saying? Like, It's just the story.
Yeah. And like, I know we love Lovecraft Country to death. Shout out to Safe Negro Pod. But I know that some people had an issue with that, how some episodes would turn into like, well, here's our history lesson moment.
PSAs.
Yeah.
Or the more you know, with the star going across the sky.
Yeah. And so I really love that this show so far has not really done that. It's just peppered in. And like, it's just enough where it's like, we'll give you that interest. Like, I'm sure Partition is going to instantly become a trending topic the moment this episode airs, because people are going to want to know more.
Yeah. And it's so interesting we're doing this review so early because, again, we have no way to tell how people are going to take these episodes. We don't even know what you guys are going to focus in on, but like we're just trying to show you like the real important parts that you really should be paying attention to. More of Nakia, she has mad game. Like you see how she games
Uncle Rashid.
Uncle Rashid.
No, she's running against Uncle Rashid.
Yeah, she's running against Uncle Rashid. But you see how she she games the dad. She games Kamala's dad to basically be like, yo, you should vote for me because, you know, don't you care about, you know, women's rights and this. Like she gives him the whole spiel. And, you know, he can't even speak. You know, the father was too stunned to speak. Abu was too stunned to speak. So he was just like, I mean, I don't even know if he says yes. She's like, you're going to vote for me, right? And places the flyer in his hand like, boom. And then Uncle, he's all like, what you doing? You know, what you doing supporting her? So, you know. But she's definitely got game. She's definitely rich AF.
Told you.
Rich AF. You did say that. And like I said, now I'm seeing this episode. I'm like, well, for you to go in 22 pairs of sneakers, I think they were all 22 pairs of Versace's. But for you to
no,
go
those aren't her
them,
sneakers. That man just been robbing sneakers. It ain't just her.
Well, I thought she said he went through 22 of her sneakers.
I would. Leo,
that's
if
why I
that's
was
true,
like,
she gonna
damn,
beat
she's
that
super
man in the
rich.
street. Dog, she gonna beat that boy in the street if it's 22 pairs of her joints.
Right. No, but you're right. He probably stole just 22 pairs in general.
Yeah. Dog, she would be all over him.
Like, this has been 20. Cause I feel like, you know, could you imagine he stole like 20 plus pairs of her sneakers? She keeps buying the same one over and over. I'm just like, yo, you are really a baller.
No, she just be getting different flavors, so they all his size. That's
What size you wear? You know that question. Hey, if you in the street and anyone ever asks you that question, run.
Yeah. It's too
What
late.
size are those?
Let me tell you that. If someone asks you that question, it's way too late, fam. You're in the wrong part of town.
Facts. You know, I mentioned before, you know, the fact that she's now running for the mosque board, you know, the election board. How much of a shot does she actually have? Because, you know, there's going to be some, you know, female-male politics and things like that. And the fact that she's young, that's going to weigh against her, amongst other things. And, you know, I wonder how she would be able to prevail.
Oh, we'll see.
Oh, and she even when she was like, yo, politics is dirty, when she was talking to halal cart guy, and she was like, yo, you know, could you just put this in your window? And he was all, oh, you got to do an exclusive deal with my cart where everybody got to come get food from me. And shit. I was like, damn, but that's really how it be.
That's how it is.
That's how
it is.
Yeah.
You get shout out to the wire. You get a pile of shit pushed in front of you, and you just got to eat it.
Yeah. Benhameen, please talk about Kamran.
Oh man, this.
What you call him here?
Wait, what did I call him?
First of all, he's played Kamran's. The actor that plays Kamran's name is Sharish Shah.
Yeah.
And please talk about him.
Well, it said he's a transfer student, a new senior out of nowhere. The hot new senior. Just
not to say that seniors don't be transferred, but by that time, you a little late to be transferring, my guy. Like, just graduate.
Very late. And as you called him, this random Disney Channel Prince Ali type. Like,
yeah. My
man looking super smooth. Everyone loving him. Zoe immediately is like, oh, you're the new senior. Come to my party. Like, you're hot, you know. Come through.
It's like... And again, just very obvious that he was a plant from the beginning. And again, I'm not trying to hold Kamala and say, oh, she couldn't pull him like that. But this guy, just out of nowhere, just all in her face. Like, listen, she was getting hit with dodgeballs in the face just 24 hours ago. So, like, I don't know, fam. Niggas wouldn't even move from her locker. So,
and she's definitely very pretty. She is beautiful.
She's beautiful, but I'm talking about her. Remember, not having confidence. It doesn't matter how pretty you are. If you don't have the confidence, no one sees you.
It don't matter. And the kid got all the confidence in the world and all the money. So in a real world, you know, in a realistic sense, Cam would be attracted to her first. But he's obviously a spy. And her uncle.
He's obviously a spy. Yeah. His intro when he does that cannonball into the pool, very Scott Pilgrim. We talked about how Scott Pilgrim is a heavy influence on this series. Just reminding me of stuff like when Scott sees Ramona, he sees all like the hearts and all the animation around her and like, oh, she's perfect. I love her. Same thing that Kamala sees around her. She sees the 100 emojis and the flames and stuff like that.
I'm going to leave you alone forever now.
The sad part is they might be related. He could be a 100-year-old uncle. I don't know. Possibly Kree, as we keep saying. But hopefully more will be revealed episode 3.
Yep.
Yeah. We have Aisha, played by Nimrod Bushaw. She's not named on IMDb as far as her character name, but, you know, I don't know if she showed up in the credits. Did she?
I don't know, but she's
Her name?
Aisha. No, they ain't giving it away today. They'd be like, oh yeah, played by Aisha played by what? Like, come on.
But I'm saying, is that even? Is that her?
Well, either way, they ain't giving it away. Either way.
And the reason, again, it happened so fast, and even on the second watch, I was just trying to sit there and look when Kamala is on the platform, one of her platforms before she drops the boy, and the vision of the woman comes through, and I'm like, that's Aisha, or Aisha, right? And then when they get in the car, and Kamala's like, this is my mom, you see the woman. You're telling me those are the same people?
The point is, you're not going to be able to tell from that vision because she's purple, and there's all kind of energy, and you're not supposed to be able to see who she is. Okay. But I'll say this, the first time I watched it, as soon as the woman, I was like, oh, Aisha. Now, the second time I watched it, I was like, there's no real mention, so it's like, no, but like we talked about writing. Episode. Yeah, we talked about writing. And when it's like a Chekhov's gun is a classic idea in writing, where if you introduce a gun in your first act, you have to have it go off before the play is over, right? So this episode is a play. If you introduce Aisha in the first act and then mention her through the second and third act, you better damn well give me an Aisha. It's like, come on now. So I'm going with this as Aisha, probably Cree, old as dirt. Looking good, though.
Zoe Zimmer, played by Laurel Marsden, a bit narcissistic, if not fully. Just the fact that she literally made, like, first of all, it's really about the superhero, like a random superhero appearing at Avenger Con of all places. That's the news, right? But she buries the lead to make it about herself and about how she's like, Nightlight, which is the name she gives her. Stupid name. But she gave her the name, and she's like, she must have trusted me enough to come and say, I don't even know how she twisted this story about herself, but she did. And then she even has a party to celebrate the fragility of life, quote unquote. It's a party to celebrate the fact that she has 500,000 followers.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah,
Yeah, no. I love her. I also love how in the first thing we see her in this episode, she has little hearts by her eyes, which is really dope makeup, one. Yeah. And then when she's arrested by damage control, and the first thing we see is her nails on the desk, and they're covered in hearts.
Very nice nails, by the way. You could tell.
Yeah, she
girl
money.
Stays done up.
Yeah, I come from money.
Or that YouTube money, that influencer money she could be getting too.
True indeed. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. And as mentioned, she gives Kamala that Nightlight name. Kamala rolls with it. I think it's corny, but here we are. Kamala also called her powers hard light, where Bruno says, that's groundbreaking. He says it facetiously, but it is what it is. Gabe Wilson, the principal, he is still the cat-loving principal. Muniba Khan, played by Zenobia Shroff, still hiding everything from Kamala.
Yep.
And still telling her, I want you to focus in on yourself. Are you okay? This and that. She's seeing, like, she knows her daughter's growing up, and that's really amazing, Ben, when you made those the connection between, like, the literal growing up of puberty and all of the things that Kamala is going through, and her mom sees this happening too, because puberty, you become into a new person. You are literally leaving, at least physiologically, you're leaving childhood. So I'm not a parent, but I could just imagine how tough that is. How you see this being that you birth just changing every day before your very eyes, and then as they grow older, the changes get more pronounced and more dramatic.
Mm-hmm. And I made that comparison because of stuff in this episode, but like also we mentioned last week, Turning Red, which is another great one, which was about puberty and a young girl gaining powers and her mom having a secret family history that she doesn't want to expose the young girl to, but also just being about a young girl going through puberty and becoming a woman, and her mom being fearful of losing her little girl.
Yeah. Yeah, it's relatable across the board.
The powers are always the dressing, and that's something that great writers learn. Like all that stuff, science fiction, whatever your theme, not theme, but whatever your like genre. It's just window dressing. What story are you telling? That's what matters. That's where you tell great stories.
Yeah. Yusuf Khan, played by Mohan Kapoor, who is Abu Kamala's father. Loose lips sink ships, because he seems to be giving a lot of information away that Muniba did not want told. Like when she's like, yo, I'm not talking about my history, and then he jumps up and just starts talking about Aisha and everything, that whole story of the partition. And I was just like, are you allowed, even though they were in a house full of family, including Bruno, I was just like, are you even allowed to be just saying freely like that. So I don't think mom was happy about it.
No, but it's just like we saw last episode. That's his role in this family, is to be the more lenient one.
Yes.
And to let it go. And because it's not his family history. Remember that. He's married into this. This is not him.
Yeah. We have Amir Khan, played by Sagar Saik, Kamala's brother. He worked at Hot Topic. He went through a goth phase. I know you said in the books he's kind of like a loser, not really having a job type. But he comes up big because when his fiance showed up on screen, I'm like, oh, she's gorgeous.
Baddie.
Taisha Hillman, played by Trevina Springer, Amir's fiance. She's black.
Yes.
She's a hijabi as well. Amir, you said Amir must have something going on. He must have some funds coming in, some work going on, because he booked a baddie.
Damn sure did. And also, I love this once again because they're showing different types of Muslims. Like we see a Black American Muslim.
That was important to me.
Yes. And
because
so great.
That was hugely important to me. And that's those intersections where we keep losing. We lose that in a lot of representation. They're like, oh, we have a Latinx character, and we're going to get into Latinx in a minute. But we have a Latinx character here, but like they're lighter, right? They have lighter complexion. They're not like there are Latinx people that look like me. They're brown skinned. They're darker than me, or and all different types of hair types. You know what I'm saying? They're Afro Latino. There's all of these intersections that are not prominently shown or represented. And I was really happy to see Taisha. And like I said, I mentioned the Latinx, the damage control agents.
Hilarious.
Are they wild racists, or at least just the white lady? Because she was saying some questionable shit. Well, maybe she's just not PC, because she was just saying some questionable fucking shit. Like when she was talking to Zoe, she was trying to get Zoe to explain what like ethnicity the nightlight is. She was like, was she a white girl, red hair? Was she Latina? Oops, don't they call themselves Latinx now? I was like, oh, fam, are you serious?
See, that's the thing. Like, once again, I don't think that's wild or questionable because, this goes back to the whole...
I'm talking about the
No, but she didn't say that either. She said, aren't I supposed to say Latinx? Okay. She didn't say
She said it with a little consternation, man. She didn't say like she was trying to
This is a government agent. All right.
She don't give a fuck is what you're saying.
Yeah, and this goes back to the whole who the damage
equal
control
opportunity haters.
Everybody's a criminal. And once again, this goes back to who they are and how they play this. Like, it was shown in No Way Home. Dude gets to know you, and then he's like, oh, you're an Instagrammer? Oh, I'm a big fan of yours. And then she comes in with a slightly more bad cop, but it's also the play on that this is a white girl she's talking to. So she's right away going to be like, come on, white girl. We know it's one of them evil color people. We know who you are.
So you think maybe she's playing that card to her advantage?
Because she knows who Zoe is.
Yes. And they both know who Zoe is. You see how they talk to her.
And that's why they play that role. But then at the same time, when they're like, yo, we got to get on them, but watch out because we already know the FBI. Now, that was the line. Because it's already saying, look, in real life, the FBI is watching all these people all the time. That's the line.
And they deliberately did say all of that in front of her, just to kind of feed more into what her preconceived notions are, her biases, her being Zoe, all those things that she has as a white girl.
Yeah. But I think that's also just for the audience more so just be like, yeah.
And finally, let's get into our Easter eggs, inspiration, and music. The episode opens up. I love hearing this with Mace's "Feels So Good." That was a great intro with her walking through the school, having all the confidence in the world. Again, 180 from the first episode where when she first walks into school, she's getting hit with shit left and right. People are in her way. Nobody's listening to her. She tries to wave to people. They're like, who is this clown waving at us? Everything is flipped and just a mirror of what we see, right? She's dodging the pitfall. She's dodging the hazards. She's saying what's up to people. People are like, oh, okay. She got some vibes. She moves the girls out the way, which what she should have done in the first place. Because if that was me and y'all was like, oh, we're busy, I was like, bitch, if you don't move out the way, I'm trying to get my stuff, right? So, but she was just, she's like, nah, y'all could. This is my space. So I liked seeing her in that element until she got big headed about it. But girl, this was just a funny nod to some IRL stuff. She mentions when she makes a joke to Bruno that her and Ant-Man might have the same powers because they're both charming and look a lot younger than they are. That's actually a conversation that's been having about Paul Rudd for the longest. The man, he is considered an unproblematic white. He's 50 plus, but he looks like he could be late 30s and, so on and so forth.
That's also a shout out to the comic books because in the
Yeah.
comic books, Kamala can shrink and grow like
Yes.
Ant-Man does.
Yes. And he was like, how do you know you have these powers? Bruno's so cute and so lost. He's such a simp. You made this observation, Ben. Kamala is carrying a chemistry book, which I saw was titled Science in Your Face, when she is talking with Bruno and Kamran. During the hallway scene, I had mentioned before, when they're walking, they walk through the separate doors. Kamala walk through those separate doors while she's holding that book. And mentioning that scene again, there is a QR code on the wall between them. We, again, because we're here so early, the QR code ends in a broken link for us. But when I look at the URL, it leads to Miss Marvel Comics on Marvel.com. So you'll probably get a link directly to the G. Willow Wilson series, or maybe some other story thereof.
Yeah. And that was very great that she was carrying the chemistry book because she has chemistry with Cam and none with Bruno.
I think Nakia might be holding an Egyptian mythology history book. I don't know if there's any connections there, but it seemed like that she was holding. At least that's what the outside of the book had hieroglyphics.
Well, she was discussing the history by colonization when she stood up.
Yeah. All of the different versions of the Miss Marvel title screen you see, like when they jump into, like they see the intro, then they jump into the episode. Again, when we talked about how, that's just showing again the creativity of this is coming from Kamala's point of view. I was right the first time, point of view, her imagination, and also I said touches of the multiverse there. There's different versions of the characters.
All right. Yeah, and I think they've changed every episode. Like I don't think they've been the same throughout both episodes.
No, they've been different.
Yep.
They've been different. So just different ways to show again, just art, but also
and it'd be like it'd be what she would draw as a girl drawing her logo. Like, mad different versions.
Yeah. You don't have to agree, but that could also be an interpretation. Ben. Anyways, continuing on.
We need a pushing it sound effect. We need a Reed Richards stretching sound effect.
Well, no, not really. And the reason why, again, because I go back to when they were having a conversation about the mashups, like when they talk about Miss Marvel and Doctor Strange and stuff like that. Like that's all again an idea of the whole multiverse stuff. So it's all connected. When Kamala tells Bruno, we talked about that, you have to let me go, but you saw it in a different light or potential different light.
I saw it. Well, there was a Black Widow shout out there where, she says you had to let me go, like what Black Widow told to Hawkeye, and it's the same thing, which was really dark and like I don't know if that was a necessary call out right there for such a silly moment for them, but
you could be pushing it, man. But
I could be, hey, look, I push it a lot. I said we need a sound effect. I didn't say I need a sound effect or you need one. I said we need a sound effect, but could be pushing it.
When they first start training, when Kamala's training out in Jersey City, there is a wall mural that Bruno is sitting in front of, and they show it twice really prominently. That's actually art from real life artist Brandon B. Mike Odoms. He is the creator leader of Studio B in New Orleans. If you've never heard or never seen Studio B, it's a big, it would open back in 2016, I believe. At this point, it's a big cultural center, big cultural stop when you visit New Orleans. Black artist, has, art by Black artists, art by him in there. Lots of events happen in that space. It's just a really cool place. And again, just more about the art that is actually prevalent within Jersey City. Mm-hmm. And it is a mural of two girls hugging, family, assumingly, because on the arm of one of the girls, it says "Long live family." And that leads back into the family themes that you keep getting with every episode of Miss Marvel.
Not a shout out to the rapper family.
I don't
I'm
know.
not
Did
sure
you
if he's
see the
from
rapper
Jersey
there?
or not. No, I'm not sure, but that isn't. I mean, this is a not minor, but not a very well known rapper. So who knows?
Oh, okay. Well, I said maybe it is. I don't know.
I don't know. Might be from Jersey. Who knows?
Yeah. We don't know, but there's some platforming game Bruno's playing while he's in the shop, and that's why Kamala realizes she can use her powers for platforming. She realizes she is a Mario Kart character, and Super Mario and Supersonic rather. Kamala and Kamran talk about DDLJ and SRK. DDLJ is this short form of the full name of the film that I cannot go into right now, but it's a famous Indian Hindi language romance musical from the 90s. And it stars a guy that is known as the King of Romance, Shah Rukh Khan.
Khan, SRK. And like I said before, I spent a lot of time over in Dubai at one point where I became intimately familiar with a lot of Bollywood and SRK in particular, and how he is the king. So shout out SRK. And I love that how they tied SRK, the real life actor, in with Kingo, who's the actor from Eternals. And then they even made the ill reference about how Kingo Sr., how their mom loves him, and they don't understand it, even though it's the same person. And that's the funniest shit. Because,
right. We learned it from Eternals.
Yeah, it's like they love Kingo.
Kumail has been playing the same for 100 years.
Yeah,
thousands of years.
And their parents love Kingo. I mean, Senior.
Yeah.
So it's like they love Kingo. Their parents love Kingo Senior, and they don't understand why, even though it's the same dude.
Yeah.
So that was great.
And the mention of Kingo also potentially places this chronologically, that, you know, it has to be at least during the times of the event, not the Avengers, but the Eternals, because the fact that they're even talking about Kingo and all this. And I imagine Kingo and them, they're always been relevant, but they've never really talked about it in the MCU until the Eternals.
That's because they weren't cast. Remember that. But no, it
sure. But
it doesn't have to take place really. That doesn't help because Kingo was operated as an actor for years.
Yeah.
While the Eternals were doing whatever. So this could be before or after. So
yeah.
They play Be My Little Baby by the Ronettes, which is one of my favorite songs of all time. And whenever I hear it now, shouts to Kieran Gillen and Jamie McKelvey, because they use it in the first trade of the Young Avengers. And so it always just feels like a reference to Young Avengers for me. And there's been a whole lot of things in this series where Kamala's not part of the Young Avengers. She eventually joins a group, the Champions, which is another group of younger heroes. But there's just been a lot of references to Young Avengers throughout this series and throughout all of the MCU series. And I really see it coming together. But at the same time, the way she's so dope, I don't want to see them separated or partitioned into some Young Avengers. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to see all of these people on the Avengers or whatever name they go by now.
Young Avengers.
Nah, man. They're just like, because they're trying to be like, you know, like, I mean, with F Moon Knight, but like, you know, Falcon. I don't want Falcon on the old Avengers and then, you know, her on the Young Avengers. It's that it works for comics, but they never even call themselves the Young Avengers ever.
Why wouldn't it work in live action?
I guess it could work, like a group of them call them together and just not call themselves anything either. You know, we'll see. We'll see how they do it.
Well, why wouldn't it work that they did?
No, because I just want to see her interact with the rest of them. I don't want to see her just interacting with, you know, like, I don't want to see the Defenders, you know, of the MCU.
You don't want to see the kids just interacting with the kids.
Yeah, just like I don't want to see
with the overall.
Yeah, just like I don't want to see the Moon Knights and the Daredevils off on their own series. I think that's goofy, you know, when it comes down to it. Like,
yeah. I think we're gonna see interaction. I mean, I think if Hawkeye was any indication with Kate Bishop and the whole what's that?
I mean,
the guidance factor of that, you know, like big brother, little sister type thing. I think we'll see more of that.
I hope not, because we saw enough of that in Doctor Strange, and that is just whack. These heroes should stand on their own. They don't need a big brother. Kate Bishop should have.
When I say that, I'm just talking about interaction. Like,
I know what you're saying. Kate Bishop in the comics is Hawkeye's big sister, and that's how it should have been in this. But
I'm sorry, it didn't go that way.
Yeah, because that shit's, you know, it's cool, but it ain't what it is. Like, that's why Kate is like. That's what I'm saying. That's why I love Miss Marvel, because they haven't made her. That's why America Chavez should have been the leader of the Young Avengers, like she is. But I can't see the character they gave us in Doctor Strange leading anything.
They also aged her down, so I think she's younger. Is she younger than Kamala at this point?
It doesn't matter. You know, it's like she's been through 57 universes and still can't figure it out.
Yes, we know on paper it don't matter, but clearly it matters because you saw how she was acting. So I think her being younger matters.
Sad.
I think, yeah. So again, we'll see what happens when they all link up. But yeah, and just some of the last few Easter eggs or inspirations or things like that, or notes. You mentioned Kamala. She's wearing a Black Widow shirt at school.
Yeah, she's wearing a Black Widow shirt when she's talking to Nakia in the bathroom. It's art from like a comic book version of Black Widow, but it's Black Widow on her shirt. But we've already seen that people in this universe do comic book versions of these heroes and stuff, so it's the same difference.
Yeah. you talk about you made a joke about there's apps for superpower detection.
Yeah,
I guess what Bruno has. I'm just taking that Bruno is doing
made
his
it
own
himself.
thing.
Well,
He's a tinkerer. He does this.
Well, then Bruno is amazing. Bruno should not be broke.
He's got accepted to Caltech gifted, talented and gifted program at 16. So yeah,
Bruno needs to get his hustle together.
he needs to get gone and dip like Tom Holland, Peter Parker, and
Word
just live his life.
Word up. Yeah.
In all the songs you mentioned, we said Mace feels so good. In the Eid scene, there is a song called
Attitude.
Pay Attention by Attitude, or is it the other way around?
Pay Attention by Attitude, yep.
Okay. Then in the Mosque scene, Come Around by MIA featuring Timbaland, or Timbaland featuring MIA, one or the other. That's playing. And then at the very end, we have the song Sage by Ritviz. Or Ritviz, yeah.
Yes. And there's a lot of other music in here that Shazam is not identifying, and I don't know. So, we love it, but sorry, I can't help y'all with every song on this one. But I'm loving how the music is so cultural and so specific to them. They even mentioned the Sweat Boys when they're talking about hip hop, and I think that's a Bollywood group or like a more East Indian group that I was like, all right, maybe,
We have to ask again. We've asked this online on Twitters already. Please, if you are of Pakistani background, Pakistani American background, please, and you're into this stuff meaning Marvel and MCU and all that stuff, please hit us up. Contact at forallnerds.com because we want you to come on the show and give us some context to a lot of this stuff, as we say, with stuff that we're missing, the stuff that we're not seeing, or the stuff that we need like further insight into.
Yes, and we might have some other special guests coming up in that vein. So, but like we said, we are still looking for some Pakistani geeks to come and round out this cipher. Finishing this up, there's some crews at the Eid, right? We had the Mosque.
I love the crews.
I love the crews. I love the Mosque bros who do not respect the halal gap, meaning they are all about that haram life and not about that halal life.
Big haram.
The pious boys who are all about that halal life. And I love how they won't even look at the women who are modestly dressed as they walk by them. That was great. They looked right into their Qurans.
Yes.
The Sunday school teachers, the Insta click, who we saw.
The teenage girls with that were all about
life.
IG, Dean Life, hashtag.
The converts, or as they say, the reverts, which was another just great line and such a great history lesson real quick, because it's like, Islam has been around and had people of all descents in it forever. And then, people switched to Christianity, etc. And then they came back around to Islam. So they're not just converts, they're reverts.
Mm-hmm.
The mini harami girls was another big one for me because like we keep talking about haram, and the mini harami was like the rhyming scheme, like just because they all running around being wild little girls instead of, being about the dean life. So,
right.
Yep. And the Illuminatis.
The Illuminati. That's a class. I mean, if that's not an AKA, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
Like,
amazing.
Love it.
I can't believe nobody's shown with that before.
Yeah.
You're not an auntie? Are you an auntie?
I don't think I'm a Nazi. My actual real life niece might call me a Nazi because by familiar.
Oh, so yeah, well, you're an auntie. You don't want to call yourself an auntie. You don't want to call yourself an auntie. Okay. Look, I'm an uncle, baby. I know what it is. Uncle Ben. Uncle Ben's rice. Look, I've been long accepted my life.
Oh my God! Now, if someone comes up to you saying that, you're gonna be like,
"It's too late. It's been said. I've been called
Uncle
that.
Ben's rice.
I've been called pilaf. A lot of things in my time.
Oh, not pilaf.
Not pilaf. I know it's true.
All right, Ben. I think we have thoroughly broken down this episode 2 of Miss Marvel. So early, we don't even have the title, but that said, this is episode 2 from Views from the 616, the Blackest MCU podcast. Listen, if you enjoyed what you heard, we know you did. You listened this far, or at least you got mad questions for us, or you want to yell at us, whatever it is. Thank you for supporting, because you listening has given us a view. Also, make sure you have also done us a favor by visiting our merch page. That's tpublic.com/stores/forallnerds, where you can get stuff like this beautiful Views from the 616 tee I'm wearing with the Watcher, the Black Watcher, with the Blackest MCU podcast on the back. I'm not going to turn all the way so you can see it. Benhameen's wearing a limited edition, you can't even get no more design, which should tell you something. This happens sometimes. We be having fire designs that maybe see the light of day that for 0.2 seconds and get snatched. So make sure when we tell you we got a new design up and you feel like, yo, that's kind of fire, go purchase that ASAP because you can't even get that no more. So fam, like, that's exclusive. Get that and other amazing designs on a variety of products like t-shirts, cups, mugs, masks, all that. tpublic.com/store/4allnerds. Make sure you are following us on your favorite podcast platform. You have to follow For All Nerds to listen to Views from the 616 rather. Make sure you're following us on the interwebs at For All Nerds, at Views from the 616, at Tatiana King, that's me, as well as at DJ Benhameen with a nice smile up there. Also, very important that you are subscribed to us on the YouTubes, youtube.com/forallnerdstv. That is how you're able to see our beautiful melanated faces and either follow along in hilarity, laughter with us, or scream yelling at us, typing really fast and really hard. We're going to delete that comment anyway. Also, make sure you are following us at the least or subscribed if you can to our Twitch, twitch.tv/forallnerds. If you have Amazon Prime, you get a free Twitch subscription every month. All you got to do is link your accounts together. The information's right there online. Just Google that real fast. Make that happen. Please choose For All Nerds as your subscribe channel. Anything else that I'm missing, Benhameen?
We don't delete comments on YouTube. We respond
and then delete.
No, I ain't got to delete
nothing.
No,
you don't delete. Unless it's like egregious. Unless it's like you talking about somebody in the world. Like, we don't do that.
Yeah.
But
I mean, you can talk about us, but we gonna respond.
And you're not gonna like it, fam.